Welcome back, and this right here is the Giant Mouse Reo. I reviewed this about a month ago, and it is an outstanding EDC knife. It's very slim in overall profile, lightweight, so it's easy to carry, and it's just a great overall EDC size and shape as well. You have that beautiful drop point with that center line tip, so the blade's going to be good for just about any type of cutting you throw at it. It's got a beautiful crown spine and full flat ground CP and Magna Cut blade. Perfect jimping up here in the top where you need it to be. And just, I could keep raving on the knife, and it's under $200. You get a wire pocket clip that's reversible. It's got beautiful snappy action, and I enjoyed it during the review, and I'm still enjoying it. We have another brand new Giant Mouse Ace knife. This right here is the Giant Mouse Ace Iona V2. I had the original Iona when they first came out with the Grivory scales and M390 blade. And I love the knife. I got rid of it a long time ago just because I was trading a bunch of knives at the time. And I thought it was cool that they upgraded it and came out with a newer version. So you have this beautiful drop point blade. Now, it's not the type of drop point I usually go for because it's a very high point on the drop point above that pivot. So that just means you're going to have way more belly up to that tip. But that does make it better at certain things than others. Now, this one doesn't have a crown spine. I think this might be the only Giant Mouse knife without a crown spine. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe a fixed blade, I don't know. It has a beautiful stone wash finish, and they upgrade the steel on this one to CP and Magna Cut as well. Like I said, with a nice stone wash finish. Absolutely love that stone wash. Hides wear very, very well. You have a pretty robust tip right there for piercing task. And if you need to, dig into something, you should be pretty A-okay because it's rather thick up here at the tip. And this high flat grind comes down to around 18 thousandths behind the edge. That's a 3-inch blade, so let's see what it's capable of. The knife came really sharp out of box and was making sharp work of this cardboard, slicing very, very well. Now, this is shorter runs of cardboard, meaning slicing through shorter pieces. And since this knife has a higher tip on this drop point, it means it has more belly. And getting into longer slicing through, you might tend to slide out of the cut just because of that natural arc in your wrist when you turn. But, most of the stuff I break down is about this size, and it did outstanding. Now we're going to test the ergos and see how that edge wants to bite into this piece of birch. And I already knew this handle was going to be extremely comfortable because it slopes down to the butt of the knife in the back, which really fills out that palm nicely, and there's no crazy sharp spots or anything on this handle. So I was able to get a lot of force into the wood, and that drop point blade is good for this type of stuff. At least I've noticed it is. Now, if you had bigger hands, you may fall on this little hook. We'll talk about that later in the video. Now we move to the half-inch twisted sisal rope. That drop point blade is going to make it a lot easier on a flat cutting surface to be able to just push that belly into what you're cutting. You can either do the sawing motion cuts or just straight push down, which I'm doing basically here, kind of like push cuts. The knife's not struggling. I'm tired. This is the 4th knife I've tested today, and the rope is squishing on me a little bit, but as you can see, it's starting to go through it rather quickly here. I think I like these type of bellies on doing the rope cuts because it's a lot easier to push into the rope. The flatter that belly, the harder it is to get more of that edge onto the cutting board. So I think it did really good. It did about 35 cuts. Now it blasted through the leather using that belly. The tip's a little too high to be able to do the drag cuts with the tip, but it's very easy to use that belly. It was going through all the other materials very quickly, very easily. And this is, where this type of drop point shines on doing stuff on a flat cutting surface. So it did not struggle whatsoever. When we get to the denim, and it still has a good bit of aggression to that edge. Pretty thick roll of denim. I kind of over rolled it on this one, and actually the last few tests I did. But I was definitely impressed, and I can't wait to put my edge on it, because it's gonna be even better after that. So I definitely was satisfied. Well, I thought it performed pretty well. Now let's take a look at the action of this knife. It is a thumb-studded knife, and you have dual thumb studs on it. Nice and comfortable. You have a little bit of texture on them. Easy access, and it comes rocketing out. This knife is riding on phosphor bronze washers, and I love that. I love a nice, smooth phosphor bronze washer action. It's not dropped shut, and it's still breaking in, but it does come rocketing out nicely because they have the detent dialed in pretty well. Lefties, you can also easily access the thumb studs and no problem, and you can also reverse flick it rather easily as well. Let's take a look at the handle area. This particular one's in green canvas micarta. You can also get it in black linen micarta. You have a slight contour on the scales and some milling on the sides. No sharp areas where you don't want them to be. Your hardware is flat hardware on this side, which I think looks a little bit nicer. And you have Torx T8 on this side all the way around. Excellent job. You have a deep carry tip-up left or right-handed wire pocket clip. That does sit fairly deep. That's about what you have showing out. If you don't like the wire pocket clip, they also give you a wire pocket clip replacement, which I think is very, very cool. Can kind of give you an idea. But I like the wire pocket clip. I find it's better for ergos most of the time, and there's no sharp edges anywhere to where it could snag on my steering wheel or something like that. Let's take a look at the inside of the knife. You have inset stainless steel liners. They have not been skeletonized, but it doesn't feel too weighty. First grams, 96.7 grams or 3.41 ounces. Excellent. Now let's take a look at the lockup. It's sitting at, I'd say, around 50% or so. And one thing that I've always found interesting that the Italians do, or at least whoever's making this knife for them, I think it's the MKM group, they carbonize the lock faces on here. I'll try to pop up a picture of that if I can remember. And it's kind of strange because this is a stainless locking liner right there. So that's just adding extra strength because tungsten carbide has an HRC of like 70 something. So that makes it super solid. So no up and down, no side to side, very, very tight lockup. Excellent job. Access to the lock bar is okay. They made the locking liner come up a little bit. You have a little bit of texture right there, and they did a chamfer right here. It's got a little bit stiff lock bar pressure. I use the fat of my thumb, makes it a lot easier. I think I would have rather without the texture on there, because if you're using your thumb like that, it can start wearing it out rather quickly. So I definitely would have liked to see this come down a little bit more just to have a better purchase on it, but it's not terrible. Quick size comparison with the Ontario Rat Model 1 and 2, more in line with the Rat 2. Next we have the Giant Mouse Ace Nazca and the Giant Mouse Ace Quarta. It's almost identical in overall length to the Nazca. Lastly, we have the Spyderco PM2 and Power 3. It's closer to the Power 3. All right, now for my nitpicking complaints. First thing, the sharpening choil. They went all the way down to that plunge. So once you start to sharpen it, it's going to start to widen up back here because you're going to be into that plunge grind right there. And you can already see where whenever they were sharpening it, they nicked, hopefully you can see that, where they have a little indentation right there where they already hit it. So it's something that I'll have to fix myself, but you're going to have to really be careful because that stop pin is sitting right there. If y'all would like me to do a tutorial on how I put sharpening choil right there, y'all let me know down in the comments. I'll try to do that or do a shard on it or something. Next, we already talked about it, access to the lock bar. I would have liked to have this cut down a little bit to have a little bit better access. It's not terrible, but it could have definitely been better. And lastly, I love this portion of the scales. And for my medium-sized hands, this is perfect. You know, my hands fit right there in front of this hook. Now, if you had large, extra large hands, your finger's probably going to land right there on this little hook. I would have loved to see this just come all the way to the back right here and not had, this piece right here. It would have gave you more. The grip area from here to the inside right there is like 3.3 inches. And if you go all the way to the back right there, it's like 3.6 inches. So it would have definitely given you more room on the knife. But like I said, if you have medium-sized hands, it should fit your hands just fine. Other than that, I like the knife a lot. It's comfortable, slicey. I love MagnaCut, especially as far as stainless properties. Here in the summer, we have high humidity, high heat, so a lot of my stuff that can rust rather easily. So that's definitely a plus. I don't think they've raised the HRC on these yet. It still performs good. It could perform better with a 63, 64 Rockwell. Hopefully we'll see that down the road. But let me know what you think about these two. Do you own either one of them? I love the Reo, and yeah, I remember how much I like this one as well. Both of them excellent knives. I don't think you can go wrong. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I will link both of these down in the comments and in the description. And I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace, peace,